All right, so today we're going to talk about the recursive formula, which is pretty different from the explicit formula. It's not as nice to use to find terms. So we'll only be finding like the fourth, fifth, sixth term instead of like we did yesterday where we were finding big number terms. So make sure you have both of these written down in your notes somewhere. The arithmetic recursive formula is a sub 1 equals, and then you just put what it is. So a sub 1 equals whatever, and then a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus that common difference d. Okay, so this is going to stay as is. So we're going to leave that as it is. And then for geometric, kind of the same thing. So you'll have to identify what a sub 1 is. A sub 1 equals blank. And then a sub n equals your ratio times this a sub n minus 1. So you're just going to leave that how it is. So the first couple examples is just going to be writing the formula, and then we'll work our way into actually finding a term. So for example 1, write a recursive formula for a sub n, the nth term of the sequence. So the first thing I need to do is identify if my sequence is arithmetic and what the common difference is. So 7 to 14 and then 14 to 21. I am adding 7 every time. So this is going to be arithmetic. So I need to use the arithmetic formula. So I first have to figure out what a sub 1 is. And then here's my formula, and I'll have to follow it with plus the common difference. So a sub 1 equals my first term, which is 7. And then a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus the common difference, so plus 7. And that would be my entire formula. And on delta, it actually has a button for you to click this a sub n minus 1. So you'll just be able to click it, and it will automatically put it in the formula. Okay. And then example 2 here. So from 5 to 1 and 1 to negative 3, I am subtracting 4. So my common difference is negative 4. Again, I have an arithmetic since I'm subtracting. So my formula now, a sub 1 equals 5 in this case. That's my first term. And then a sub n equals a sub n minus 1. And then plus my common difference. My difference is negative here, so I'm just going to put minus 4. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So those are the arithmetic ones, and then we're going to look at the geometric ones. So for geometric, we're going to put the ratio times that a sub n minus 1. Okay, so here, 5 to negative 20 and negative 20 to 80, I'm multiplying by negative 4. So again, it's geometric since I'm multiplying. For recursive, you always have to identify the first term. So you're always going to say a sub 1 equals, in this case, 5. And then the rest of your formula for geometric is a sub n equals your r, so negative 4 in this case, times a sub n minus 1. Okay, so on delta, when you type this one, you'll type negative 4, and then you'll just click the a sub n minus 1 button. So it's actually nice and easy to use these on delta. Okay, for number 4, this one's one of the fraction ones. So it looks like I'm dividing by 6 here, which hopefully, as we know by now, is the same thing as multiplying by 1/6. So 1/6 is going to be my ratio here. for my formula, always identify your first term, which is 288 in this case. The rest of your formula, a sub n equals your ratio 1/6 times a sub n minus 1. Okay, so a sub n minus 1 is just the previous term. So it's basically telling you to take 1/6 times the previous term. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. So 288 times 1/6 would give you 48. 48 times 1/6 would give you 8, and so on and so on. So just following that pattern. Okay, so those are all just setting up the formula. And now I'm going to show you how to use these to find a certain term. Okay. So finding a term. So again, you will have to use the common difference or the common ratio to continue the pattern to find the term they're looking for. So in this case, a sub 1 is 2, so that's good. My first term is 2. And my difference here, here's my common difference, is also positive 2. So that means I'm going to add 2 every single time. I need to find a sub 6. So I need to find the 6th term. So I'm actually going to make a bunch of blanks. So I know that 2 is my first term, and then A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6, because A6 is what I need to find. That was really, really slanted. So I'm going to fill in all of these blanks until I get to A sub 6 to find that 6th term. And to do that, I'm just going to use my common difference and continue the pattern. So my first term is 2. My difference is plus 2. So I'm going to add 2 every single time until I get to A sub 6. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Plus 2 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. Okay, so A sub 6, or the 6th term, is 12. So you would put 12 into the answer on delta. That's what they're looking for. So you're just always going to continue the pattern until you get to the term that you're looking for. Okay, so same thing with this next example. I'm starting with the first term of 6, and I want to get to A sub 4. So A sub 2, A sub 3, A sub, I just wrote 6 from the other problem, A sub 4. Okay, your common difference here is minus 4. So you're going to have to subtract 4 every single time to find the next one. Okay, so 6 minus 4 is 2, minus 4 is negative 2, and then minus 4 is negative 6. So A sub 4 is negative 6. Okay, so those are pretty easy because you just continue and continue and continue adding or subtracting. So not too hard. For the geometric ones, it's not really hard either. You just might want to use your calculator because sometimes your ratios will be really big numbers and you'll have to keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. Okay, so for these two, I'm starting with A sub 1 as 2, and I want to find A sub 6. So A sub 1 is 2, A sub 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. My ratio here, here's my ratio, it's negative 2. So that means I need to multiply by negative 2 every single time. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, times negative 2 is 8, and then I'm going to keep going. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Negative 16 times negative 2 is positive 32. And then positive 32 times negative 2 is negative 64. So a sub 6 is negative 64. Okay, so you can kind of see why the explicit formula is a little bit better than the recursive, because you can just plug the number in, simplify, get your answer. Here you have to continuously follow the pattern, and you wouldn't want to be asked like a to the 60th, a sub 60. That would suck. So they're only giving you low numbers, and we use the explicit formula when they ask us for bigger numbers. Okay, so last example here. A sub 1 is 10, and I want to find a sub 5. For this one, my ratio is positive 2. So 10 times 2 is 20. 20 times 2 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. And 80 times 2 is 160. Okay, so a sub 5 is 160. So for these, for the multiplication, you might have really, really big answers. And for addition, you might not. You might just have regular answers. Okay, so again, here are the formulas. If you haven't written them down, pause the video, write them down in your notes. Just make sure you know the difference between recursive versus the explicit that we did on Tuesday. Okay.